And all that after it was built a gates of hell, right? The American operation to start bombing Iran again was canceled over the weekend by the President of the United States because, well, somebody with an IQ over room temperature, generals, his inner circle, there are not too many. But somebody finally managed to impress on him the seriousness of the situation at the moment. When none of the vassals, allies, would support the resumption of the war, when in fact they were pressuring him heavily to don't do anything foolish. Not only MBS calling Trump directly over the phone, but pressure in the background by Qatar as well, and by UAE as well. The generals telling him, look, we don't have anything left. We don't have Patriots, we don't have TADs, we have less than zero. And the most important element, the bases there are practically destroyed. All across the Persian Gulf, Erbil in Iraqi Kurdistan, and those two bases in Jordan, pounded by Iran day after day for roughly 2 weeks. So that's it. What is there an off-ramp? Well, the off-ramp is always there. It's the dead cat. So Trump has to finally understand that if he doesn't go back to the MOU, Iran can keep postponing a resolution until kingdom come. They're not in a hurry. They run the clock. And they know that Trump and the Trump administration, they are fighting against the clock. So it has not changed much, Nima, these past few days, except that we have at least the diplomatic channels. They are back in the negotiation. They're back on the table.
I think what's going on, Pepe, with the combination of both Yemen and Iran, even if we assume that they're going to achieve something, do you think that the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, let's focus on that, do they have any timeline in their mind? I'm talking about the United States, not about Iran, because it's all about how the United States is going to react to, are they going to abide by those terms in the MOU, as it was mentioned before, or are they going to get back to this sort of trying to penetrate this project freedom that they were doing all along?
Of course, they will try to penetrate, interfere, harass, change the terms, you name it. This is what they do, Nima. They don't abide by any sort of agreement, written, oral, diplomatic, you name it. And of course, on a larger conceptual framework, if they agree with what Iran and Oman are discussing, and this will be a mutual agreement between Tehran and Muscat, from the point of view of the hegemonic designs of the US, this is a major disaster. This is a major humiliation. And it will be read as a major humiliation, not only in West Asia, but all over the world, all across the global South, in the Arab world, in the Islamic world, among BRICS, everywhere. Because this means that the so-called unilateral hegemonic superpower cannot control an oil checkpoint, which was the original motive for the war. The war, as you know very well, was never about the Iranian nuclear dossier. This is an oil war. This is an oil checkpoint war. This is an oil about controlling a war about controlling an oil checkpoint where payments were via currencies beyond the US dollar, especially yuan. And now, and before that was even crazier. It was a free navigation, essentially, the Strait of Hormuz. Now, it is free navigation, but subjected to Iranian law and Iranian control. It was not the situation on February 28th. So the humiliation is absolutely monumental, whichever way they choose to spin it. Of course, there will be torrents of spin coming from the Trump administration, but they cannot sell this as victory. They cannot sell this as a deal. Absolutely impossible. So if that happens in the next few days, it's already a first bombshell. And obviously, they will try to break the terms and break this deal between Oman and Iran. Of course, it's the only thing that they do. But what do they have at the moment as means of pressure? Nothing. They don't have weapons. They cannot invade. All of the vessels and the allies are against them. There is the famous strategic petroleum reserve deadline, which is a little over a week from now. It's mid-August. Today, it's 10 days from now, essentially. It's literally around the corner. So there's nothing he can do to modify these imperatives. And these are imperatives on the ground, on the oil market, on the bonus market, you name it. So we can barely imagine the degree of anger. It's not only frustration. This is an extreme narcissist that is even angrier than usual because he can stare defeat, strategic defeat, right in his face. And there's nothing he can do to change the scenario. So he will continue to be very, very dangerous, Nima, and we know that. This means that any stupid spur of the moment decision in the next few days or weeks will continue to be possible, unfortunately.
Pepe, from the case of Yemen, I don't know, the only government, in my opinion, that may have some sort of understanding of what Saudi Arabia is doing would be the government in Pakistan. They would ask them, we have an agreement, military agreement with you, but
Yes.
what the hell are you doing?
What the hell are you doing? Exactly. That's exactly the point, Nima. And we got a confirmation from the Pakistani mediators. Let's call it the smashed table of the MOU, because that table doesn't exist at the moment. Doesn't exist. Maybe the table will be back in a few days, but for the moment, there's no table. But the guys who were doing the heavy lifting, working 24/7 in the mediation channel, they told us that Pakistan formally told the Saudis, and we can interpret like the foreign minister, Dar, telling Prince Faisal, the Saudi foreign minister, or we can even interpret as Asim Munir calling MBS himself. After all, they have their own direct channel, and saying, stand down. We are not going to get into the stupidity that you are doing vis-a-vis Ansar Allah and the Yemeni armed forces. We have a pact of mutual defense. What you're doing is not defense. So apparently, Nima, for the moment, the Saudis are not doing anything. But, anything may happen. And obviously, Ansar Allah, they are their fingers on the trigger and on their excellent ballistic missiles, So Riyadh better think once, twice, 3 times, 10 times before they do anything stupid. Apparently, once again, they are supporting all these technical negotiations and the possibility of the resumption of the MOU later on. So this means they are supporting what the Pakistanis, the Omanis, and the Qataris are doing. But this is pro forma. None of us, and in fact, nobody can trust the House of Saud, period. And nobody can trust MBS, period. So this is hanging up in the air. But I think apparently they learned their lessons from the Yemeni response to that attack on the runway of Sana'a airport. The message from Yemen was very graphic, to say the least.
It seems to me that Iraq gonna attack them, because the Arba'in is, yesterday was the last day of Arba'in, and
last day of Arba'in.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the Iraqis, in fact, the message from the Iraqis, from Hashd al-Shabi, from different groups, Kataib, Hezbollah, and all that, they said, look, during Arbaeen, we don't do anything. After Arbaeen is another story, because you attacked us, you bombed us, you killed some of our people to Saudi Arabia. So there will be a response. Maybe not now, maybe later, asymmetric, but there will be a response. Yeah.
There were
And
yesterday. Go ahead, Pepe.
no. I just said because this was a joint American-Saudi attack
Yeah.
against Iraq. It was not only Saudis; it was American, Saudi. Yeah.
What's so strange, Pepe, that Saudi Arabia contacted Iran. They said to Iranians that it wasn't Saudi Arabia, it was the
It
United
was
States attacking Iraq. And they
exactly.
just attacked a warehouse in Iraq. They didn't attack any of these targets, killing anybody. And it was all American fighter jets going there and hitting the targets.
Mhm.
This sort of, how do you understand the country?
Who
How can you do this?
it could be cowardice, or this may have a degree of truth. The Iraqis know exactly what attacked them. They will look at the munitions, they will examine what happened in their airspace, etc. So they will know. Of course, by now they already know who attacked them. If it was only the Americans or if it was a joint U.S.-Saudi. But the Saudis are afraid of the consequences, just like with Yemen. Can you imagine that they open two fronts at the same time? You have to be beyond stupid to do that. But this, if it was them, this is essentially what they did. They opened a front with Yemen and a front with Iraq. And they have absolutely no chance of defending themselves